Welcome back, everyone, and joining us for this edition of the TFL's Takes All Day show. My name is David Rome, and I can't wait to get this bad boy started. We have 3 interviews on tap for today. We got representing the AFC, the Pill Pushers, and also the Stiff-Arming Dart Frogs, and representing the NFC, the Shiva Blasters. It's going to be a great show. Can't wait to get this thing going. So let me go ahead and get in Pill Pushers here.
I'm your pusher. I'm your pusher. I'm your pusher.
Well, I sure hope you like that intro, Pill Pushers. Let's get this interview started. Once again, thank you for joining me. Question 1, you were so close to getting into that Super Bowl. What changes did you make to your roster to this time prevail and make it into the Super Bowl this year?
Changes did I make? Nothing really. I still got a lot of my key players: Aaron Rodgers, Dez Bryant, Le'Veon Bell, Randall Cobb. Still got most of my key players. I just tried to pick up a couple extra defensive players where I had some holes, see if I can get a few more points.
Well, you definitely have yourself a nice core piece of talent there and everything else. You had a loss this past week against the Rampant Lions. I'm sure that had to hurt. But who would you say is going to be your major threat that's going to cause a problem for you in the AFC this year?
I think Jake may give me a little bit of an issue this year. His points that first game looked really well. You know, a couple years into this, Jake has always been right there, and most of the time he just had a couple key players not pull through like they should have. So I think, you know, as long as his players are doing well, I think he's the one I might have the most issue with as far as AFC goes.
Yeah, well, definitely Havoc Hawks is definitely going to be a tough challenge probably this year, especially him being inside your division. I'm sure you're definitely worrying about him in there. But speaking of rivals, have you had any thoughts on a name change for Loose Ends if you were to happen to win the rivalry this year?
Changing his name, I don't know. It's kind of hard to go from a lame name to an even lamer name. Loose Booty Hole, or I don't know. I mean, he's already got a weird name anyway, so it's kind of hard to make a weird lame name even lamer. But I'll come up with something good if the time comes and it actually happens.
And anytime you can think of a good name to change for when it comes to rivalry week, you think about it and you think hard. Because when that time comes, you want to make sure that you can embarrass him. However, Loose Ends, really hard to make that worse. Because really, who wants a loose end, right? Anyway, back to the business here. Let's get into your final question. Question number 4. You joined the TCAA this offseason. What are your thoughts, and should other TFLers make this leap?
Just joining the TCAA, it's kind of hard to tell, you know, if I'm absolutely going to love it or not. But if it's half as fun as the old NCAA football games for PlayStation and Xbox are, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Brian Barnett knows what he's doing when it comes to being a commissioner of a fantasy league. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Right now, just a little bit I've seen and figuring out how it works, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I definitely recommend it to any other TFLer who's looking to expand or broaden their fantasy games. So, I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Josh, thank you so much for joining us this week. Ladies and gentlemen, the Pill Pushers, good luck this year. As for us, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with the other member in the AFC, the Stiff-Arming Dart Frogs.
Every day I'm hustling, 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 every day.
Once again, I want to thank Josh of the Pill Pushers for joining us. But we're getting into our second interview here, and let's bring in Will of the Stiff-Arming Dart Frogs. Speaking of that, first things first, why the name change, and what does it symbolize or mean for your team?
Hey, Bromy, I just want to say, first of all, thanks for having me. So the name came up last year when I was talking with Brian, and he had mentioned that originally when he decided to create the league, he wanted all the teams to have non-traditional fantasy football team names. And he had never mentioned that to me before when I first signed up. And so being a Seahawks fan, I went with the Everyday I'm Rustling. really came from my walk-up song from when I'm playing softball, which is Every Day I'm Hustling. So I really like to play off of words there. But after talking with Brian last year, I understood where he was trying to go with the league. And so last year I thought about changing my name, and Brian told me, no, don't do it, because he had kind of gotten used to the Every Day I'm Rustling. But this year, I was looking around the league and I saw the names, and I was like, you know what? I need a name that's going to strike fear in my opponents. Every day I'm rustling. Yeah, I'm a hustler and he rustles a hustler, but it just doesn't strike fear like a stiff-arming dart frog. If I saw a stiff-arming dart frog coming running down the football field, I'm getting out of that guy's way.
Well, I'll tell you right now, if I saw a stiff-arming dart frog, I'd probably squish it. Just saying. Anyway, your team has started 1-1 after that impressive victory you just had this past weekend over Dispensing the Pain. And just for the record, you were the highest scoring team this week in week 2. So, with that being said, your team is 1-1, and to no surprise, the defending champion Rampant Lions, who is in your division, is 2-0. What are you going to do to surpass them?
Bromy, the Rampant Lions have a great team. There's no question about it. But they're a little banged up right now, and we need to go after them. We need to take advantage of it this week. We got Cam Newton and Russell Wilson at quarterback over here at the Stiff Arm and Dart Frogs. But you know what they say. If you got 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. So we need to pick one guy and just stick with him. At running back, we're pretty deep. Our starters, Jamal Charles, Latavius Murray, man, that kid is something special. Not everybody knows about him, but watch out. And our wide receiver group is just ridiculous. After Antonio Brown, we still got Brandon Marshall, Dante Moncrief, and Allen Robinson that we have to pick from at any given week. Our tight end's a little banged up right now. We need to get healthy right there. But we got Darius coming off of his suspension. So we expect good things from him coming up. He was a little slow getting started last week, but he'll get things rolling. J.J. Watt, I don't even need to talk about him. And Justin Houston, man, this kid is playing his way into the starting lineup. He is out of his mind right now. Travis Carey at corner. It's also returning kicks for us, getting us extra points. And this kid out of Washington State University, Dale Buchanan, he is a beast at safety. Maybe not a lot of people have heard of him, but watch out. But I can tell you right now who's carrying our team is our kickers. My goodness, these 2 kids, they're kicking lights out. So we need to come with it this week and take it to the Rampant Lions and take control of the AFC West, because we all know the road to the Super Bowl goes through the AFC West.
That sounds like a challenge to these other divisions in the AFC. We got plenty of weeks to go here. But you didn't want to talk about them. Well, we're going to talk about them because, this week that you have matchup against the Rampant Lions, this could be a key week for this man, this player, to come up big like he always has. What is it like having J.J. Watt on your team?
Oh, J.J., that kid is the life of our team. He is the leader of our defense. Every week I got to make tough decisions as to who to start at running back, who to start at wide receiver, who to start at quarterback, which kicker to play. But at defensive end, I never have to think about it. It is J.J. Watt. He is like having 2 of the top defensive ends in your fantasy lineup every week. If you look at last year's, he scored 235 points on the season. The next highest defensive end was 132. That is a ridiculous amount of points between them.
Well, J.J. Watt is basically, a freak of nature. Just a beast out there on the field. But who stands in your way in the AFC that may keep you from making the Super Bowl? What team out there is going to cause the biggest problem?
There's a lot of good teams in the AFC. Bromy's Homies has been putting up some good points, but I just don't see them sustaining it all year long. Havoc Hawks, I really like their roster. And, of course, everybody knows about the storied Rampant Lions. But there's only one team that stands in the way of the stiff-arming Dart Frogs. And that is the stiff-arming Dart Frogs themselves. They are the only team that can beat themselves. As long as they do what they should do and take care of business, we will go to the Super Bowl.
Hey, you ain't got to convince this talk show host. I've picked you for the Super Bowl, baby. So let's make me a little money. You know, Romy likes a little cash. Anyway, Will, stiff-arming Dart Frogs, thank you for coming on to the show. Hope you guys have a great season this year, and good luck.
Thanks a lot, bro. I really appreciate that. I just want to say thanks for having us on. Here at Stiff Arming Dart Frogs, being out on the West Coast, we can feel a little disconnected from the league sometimes. So TSPN has really brought a fun and exciting way for us to feel involved in the league. We get to know the owners a little bit. So we really like what you got going on here, and we hope you have us back for future interviews. Go Frogs.
Once again, thank you, Will, and appreciate the much love here at TSPN. It's definitely something that we are trying to get out there to everybody. We want the East Coast and the West Coast to get along. This isn't no crazy rap battle like in the mid-90s. Heck no. Anyway, we're going to shift gears here and go to the NFC, take a quick break, and we're going to bring in the Shiva Blasters.
I would now like to introduce our speaker for tonight, Shiva.
Hi, my name is Shiva, and I'm powerless over food.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the TFL show, Takes All Day. I have no idea where my producers found that little take, but they must have really digged into the deep, dark past of the Shiva Blasters to pull that out from the files. I'm not sure where they found it. I have even no idea if it's true. They just said, we're going to play it before we into our next segment here. Well, Shiva Blasters, thanks for coming on. How's it going?
Well, hey, yeah, thanks for having me on my first appearance on the network. Kind of a shame it's just an audio deal and no video. Sure the guys would like to take a gander at this handsome face for the next few minutes. Hey, let's get this thing cracking.
Hey, well, once again, thanks you for joining us. And let's get right into it. How was your off season? Did you make any key moves this year to improve after last year's 500 record?
The only thing I really did to improve my team this year was grab some depth. I didn't really get any super studs, but a handful of quality guys that hopefully will contribute during the season. With Jonathan Stewart, hopefully he'll be able to get plenty of carries now with D'Angelo Williams gone. Maybe he can take over that lead role in Carolina. I also like my pickup of Deion Buchanan at safety from Arizona. I think he's going to be a hell of a ball player.
Well, that is definitely not the first time we've heard that player's name mentioned tonight. I feel a little West Coast bias coming out of some people. Very interesting. But let's get into your second question here. Your team's off to a 1-1 start. You're currently leading in your division, but you had that very close loss to Terrible Towels. How do you feel your team has started off so far this season, going 1-1?
It's hard to be too disappointed with a 1-1 start. I guess it could be worse, but I really should be 2-0. The Terrible Towels really got lucky with Roddy White peeing all over himself, getting completely shut out in week 2, and me only losing by 3 points.
Well, believe me, you're not the only team Roddy White screwed over. You can trust me on that one. He is so sitting the bench next time. Anyway, it's early in the season. It's only been 2 weeks in. But how so far? Are there any surprises or any disappointments coming out of your team these first 2 weeks?
It is early, and yes, I do have some disappointments on my team thus far. I really thought Darren McFadden would be able to take the lead role in Dallas. So it's been pretty disappointing to see that he's been basically useless to me. One thing I'm happy about is it looks like Kendall Wright may be the favorite receiver in Tennessee once again. He was a part of what I thought was a big trade for me last year that didn't really work out. So hopefully that'll end up being good in the long run. Bobby Wagner started a little slow for me, but he's a complete stud, so he'll be good.
Well, the one way you can look at it is, even though McFadden hasn't helped you out, currently people who have Dez Bryant, Tony Romo, or Jason Witten are also shit out of luck. But last question for you here. Besides yourself, of course, who is the team you'll need to beat in the NFC to reach the Super Bowl this year?
At this point, I don't see the Shiva Blasters as a Super Bowl contender. We are in a definite rebuilding phase. This being my year 2 in the league, really took over a turd of a squad, and I'm trying to improve it. Learning a lot over the last year. But as far as who I think in the NFC, I really like the slightly darker blacks as a strong contender to come up against the Maynardville Mudfish in the NFC Championship. I think the Maynardville Mudfish are probably the stronger squad and should take the NFC. I also kind of like the Terrible Towels who beat me this last week. But I think they're a quarterback away from being a serious contender.
Well, John, once again, thank you for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the Shiva Blasters. And that's going to do it for this episode of the TFL Takes All Day. Once again, thank you to Josh of the Pill Pushers, Will of the Stiff Arming Dart Frogs, and last, we just had on here, John of the Shiva Blasters. It was a pleasure getting you all on here, letting everybody out in TSPN Nation get to hear just who is behind the names of these teams. Once again, thank you, thank you, thank you. As for next week, there will be no interviews because next week is the first show of the season. We're going to have Ryan Catsillo, Brian Van Pelt, and hopefully making his return to TSPN Network, Dan Tarico. It's going to be a star-studded event. Can't wait to see you all there. We're going to have a great show. Till next time. See ya!
Cheer for the team and play until